The Sable Commission, take one.
Go on. The Sable Commission. Is it the first time you've ever said that?
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever said that.
You've built a bike before for yourself, though, right? Wasn't that numero uno?
Yeah, in theory, but not from the ground up.
This is the first bike from the ground up?
Yep.
How'd you feel?
I mean, a little demoralised that it's leaking from the oil pump behind the clutch pack. Directly under the bike.
Oh, God, so as we speak, it's dripping.
Yeah, that's indicative of either the rear main seal or the oil pump seal. Given the quantity of oil, we are confident it's the oil pump seal that has failed.
Disregarding the leak,
Yeah.
this should be a completed bike.
Oh my God, yeah, it's done. I was riding it. I was riding it happy, just like, wow, it works. After all this time, it works. I very nearly scrapped the project because when we were moving shop, the main frame, the main chassis that I'd saved for me was, it still had like all this stuff on it and it became such a nuisance lugging it all around. When I left the first shop, it lived down the side of my old house. It was just a battle.
When you say it had things on it, what sort of things were on it?
Well, it still had the original front end on it. I hadn't fully dismantled it. I just scalped a load of parts for another project. And then when I saw that there was a main frame with a title, I was like, ooh, there's my bike.
How long ago did you say this is going to be my bike?
3 years ago.
Okay. So between 3 years and when you started the proper build, how long was that? What was the time lag?
This bike is 12 years in the making because I've hoarded parts that I knew I would use eventually on my GS. There's so much to tell you about on this bike that I don't really know where to start.
First question, what was the origins? Where is she from?
Well, the bike came from all sorts of places because it's such a bitzer. The really significant part of this bike is the Krauser 4valve heads. These are royalty in the airhead community.
How many do you think exist? Do we know?
I'm not entirely sure. Not a lot. And the ones that do exist don't work. If you have one and it runs, you're very lucky. So I bought a motorcycle that belonged to a mechanic from the Krauser race team of the 80s.
God, how'd you find that?
It was on Facebook. It was too good to be true. I bought this bike for $3,000.
Yeah.
Broken. And I was like, that's my engine right there. Pulled off all the other stuff I could use, but I kept the engine. I've had that for 10 years.
So the Krauser, you'd have thought the Krauser mechanic would know how rare those pieces are.
Yeah, he did.
Just,
But
like,
he
throw
knew
up
it
on
was all
Facebook.
broken. It was just like, he knew, because he was the mechanic, he knew the amount of work involved
I
to
get
correct it.
All right.
That it was just like, send it down the road.
So did you get it for cheap?
I paid $3,000 for the whole bike.
That seems cheap.
I mean, it's kind of how much a donor bike costs, but the fact it had the heads on it.
Yeah.
And it's not just the heads with the Krauser. There's specific pistons as well with a relief cut out for the extra valves. It's all a very unique proposition. So front end, let's do this. Let's tell you all about it. We've got the wheel hub is from an R1250 GS, the new BMW GS.
Yeah. Are we talking about the middle?
The middle bit. The hub.
Okay. So I think we've actually got quite a good fun video of you trying to decide between different types. There was 2 types, right? There's you're standing in the office and you're going, I don't know if I should go with this type or this type. Yeah.
I wasn't sure. So basically,
yeah.
I opted for the tubeless style. So we've got a 21-inch tubeless rim from the R100 GS. So we've gone brand new 21-inch tubeless rim from BMW, brand new. The wheel hub is brand new. Then we've got Öhlins telescopic forks.
Right.
They're brand new.
What about these?
What you got? Oh, they're brake caliper adapters for the Öhlins telescopic fork.
So you can't have this without that?
No. And that caliper bracket is specific to what wheel hub you use and what brake rotors you run on the wheel hub. It's mind-blowing, like getting your head around it and the geometry of everything and what's going to work and what's not.
So really, you've got to start with one thing and then make sure the other... Yeah. So then once you've decided... Is this the thing you decided to commit to, or is the wheel What you commit?
You have to commit to the whole pack. You have to figure out what's going to work and then commit to it and then figure out how all your pieces go together, isn't it?
And for you, what was the most
That's
important?
the art of motorcycle building.
But what was the most important place to start? Was it the Öhlins shocks, or was it the brakes, or was it the actual wheel? And then build out from that.
All of it.
Okay.
Everything on this bike is like
Very rare.
well, very rare and very specific.
Okay.
This is Mark 1. There are a handful of changes that will happen
Okay.
that haven't quite happened yet.
We just like to ask you about that.
Yeah. Marshall headlight, because I love Marshalls.
Is that a white or yellow?
It's white.
Okay. It's not a yellow
Well,
bulb in there.
it's very
Try again?
it's not try again, it was just because it was in park mode. There's a yellow light. These are the turn signal wires, by the way. And they're just out and zip tied because I don't have the turn signal stalks that I've designed and made. They're not on. That's Mark 2. I've designed brackets to allow me to mount the original style turn signals on the front because I want it to look original, but not. I want it to be OEM plus.
Sorry, it sounded like after this build's finished, you're going to build a second one that has the indicators on that you just discussed.
Mark 2
is this
the
same
second
bike?
version of this.
Is the exact same
Yeah,
bike?
yeah.
All
This
right.
bike.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So they're going to be. They'll find a.
They'll be plumbed in.
Okay.
Right now, we've got an original
Wow.
GS Speedo, which is great, and it's restored, rebuilt. It's lovely.
It's a little tricky to see in the sun.
The downside to it is there's no tack, and I don't have anywhere to mount my auxiliary tack that I have.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to swap this out for a Roughchild combi gauge,
2-in-1
Speedo and tack in one.
Okay.
This was very important to me. I like the skinny high fender from the original R80GS. I've gone very it's taller than factory, but only a little bit. Let's look at my big auxiliary light.
See, this is another piece of special engineering, right?
It is.
Light her up.
I can light her up. Oh. Now here's the best part. Check out my switch. Headlight only, headlight and auxiliary, all off.
So
that's not factory. I bought a factory switch. I gutted it, and this is why it's got my own sheathing on it, because I just rewired it all and made it do what I needed to do.
So just to go...
There are literally, I think there's 4 relays under the tank to control the lights. And there's a relay in the bucket as well for the headlight.
So just
5 relays to make that switch do that. It doesn't exist. It's not rare. It was a European delivery only switch, because in the US, you're not supposed to be able to turn off your headlight on a motorcycle. But I wanted to be able to control the auxiliary light from the handlebar. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do it,
so
in for a penny, in for a pound. Yeah.
Like motorcycles have to have driving lights on.
We always got to have a headlight on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you couldn't buy that piece of the puzzle. This here.
Well, it wouldn't
in
work.
the US.
You can buy it in the US, but it won't do what you want it to do. It won't work.
So is that like a BMW factory part?
It is a BMW factory part, but not for this bike.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so then the clutch perch doesn't have the choke lever that the R80GS has, because we're running smart carbs. Well, and the choke is on top of the carb body.
Oh, do that once more.
This is the choke, yeah.
How long does that need to be in the up position normally before?
Make it run. I like to not leave them on too long at all, because you're gonna foul it up and carbon up your heads.
Was that like 30 seconds or 3 minutes?
I honestly don't. I like all good chefs. You don't really break it down to like a time. You just by feel. You get it running, turn them off, go ride. Okay. By your second stop sign, you're idling. Okay. You just want to get some heat in it.
Okay, so anything else on that light and this handle?
Yeah, heated grips. Yeah,
heated grips.
I don't know what came over me, but I thought if I'm building a bike for myself, I should have heated grips.
And how do you control the heated grips?
How do you control them? The switch is under the seat. Hang on. So I used factory parts, a mixture of factory parts, but I hid it under here.
Wow, you don't even notice that.
No, I thought it was unobtrusive.
So that's a... Can you light your cigars with that as well?
You can mount a lighter socket, but I didn't do that.
So then also... Oh, anything else on the handlebars
You'll see the routing of all the cables is very lovely and goes through the hole in the triple.
It's neat.
Very neat. I'm also very fond of the vented gas cap. These are available new, but you'll see that I have an original paint signed gas tank signed by Gaston Ryer, winner of Paris Dakar.
So hang on.
There are 200 of these gas tanks in the world. One of them is now in daily use on my bike.
There's probably not 200. There's probably much less now because I'm sure people didn't know how rare they were and just throw them out, right?
I got a phone call from a friend saying, "Hey, I saw on your Instagram you've got an original paint signed tank. I have one new in a box." And I was with Seth at the time. And Seth bought 3 GSs from me. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, if you don't buy, I have to buy this tank. If you don't buy it, I will buy it just so no one else gets it. But I'm happy for you to have it. He bought it in a heartbeat. So yes. I need that. So Seth got brand new in a box, signed gas tank.
Wow.
And I have it. That's been on the shelf for 5 years, maybe.
But also, just the tank itself, even without that, is pretty rare, right? Because you've got.
Isn't it beautiful?
Have you done any sort of refurbishment to that tank whatsoever?
No, nothing. That's how I got it.
Wow. Are you going to do Randell's?
No, they're all original. I'm not touching it. I love it. I put my Randell on the back because that needed one. Okay. And I thought you combine it with the plate, and it's pretty obvious. We should probably talk. We're going front to back, right? The engine, Krauser 4valve. We've already kind of addressed that, haven't we?
It's big, no? The engine's big.
They're all big. It's exactly the same size.
I think maybe, but is it? The normal ones come out this distance?
Yeah, because there's the crash bar.
Oh, okay. Didn't know if that was a longer version.
First time running smart carbs.
So are you using smart?
Use my promo code Roughchild.
There isn't promo code. Are you running those as like a prototype for moving forward, whether to offer them to clients or not?
That wasn't my intention. However, having run them, they're so damn good that I'm putting them on 2 other customer builds right now. I honestly think this is the way forward. They're really good. So there are no jets. It's a lot. If you know anything about electron carb, they're a lot like electron, but with a constant vacuum float bowl. So there's no jets. They have a metering rod that controls your mixture. So at the bottom, it works like a small carburetor, and at the top end, it works like a big carburetor, and in between, it's like getting gradually bigger. That's where my knowledge ends. I took them out of the box, and I put them on, and I thought it idled a bit high, so I lowered the idle.
Okay.
Carburetors do not do that.
Oh.
With the Makunis that we used, like that was days of dyno testing to get a recipe so that I have a baseline setting for the Makunis based on the engine. Right? So that's changing all the jets.
So really, it feels a bit like plug and play, almost.
Almost.
Wow.
And I'm not saying everyone should go and get them, but I say that most of the bikes I build are probably going to get them.
And then quicker off the mark?
I mean, this is why I've ordered more, because we need to put them on a more normal engine.
To see if it would have an effect. And then would that also mean better economy?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 10%. They claim 10% more power and more economy. But who's to say? Like, I'm honestly not measuring it.
So it's supposed to be easier, faster, and cheaper to run, right? They're your 3 things. Benefits.
I didn't say cheaper to run.
Cheaper in terms of petrol.
They're so expensive to buy. They are expensive.
But
we're never going to recoup the cost of the carburetor from the savings of the gas.
Okay.
It's a lot like the nonsense of buying a Tesla. Okay. Like, give us 60 grand and you'll never buy any gas again. Just never. There's this never-ending thing. Gotcha. It doesn't meet in the middle.
Okay. That's what I was going for. Okay. What else were you going to point to?
Airbox is a temporary solution. I make my own, and I'm running a SWT airbox cover.
Hang on.
just because it was on the shelf from something else.
Can you actually point to the airbox cover?
This is the factory airbox,
Oh,
and then this is an aftermarket cover that allows you to run a big air filter on top.
that looks like a honeycomb.
Looks like a honeycomb. That's why they call them honeycomb air filters.
Do they? Really?
No, I'm just playing.
Oh, I thought I was being smart there.
Yeah. Hey, check out the way that my spark plug wires run through this little grommet on the intake manifold.
How would they normally run? How would they normally run?
And then...
No, answer.
No, hey. So, I am very particular about my spark plug wire routing on everything.
Sure.
And with this, it was a big dilemma because I just don't want all the cables up here. So you'll see that we've mounted the coil under the timing cover, drilled a hole in the side of the engine, spark plug wire comes out, down and around, through the rubber grommet, into the rubber boot. But then, come, look down. Spark plug is so deep in the head.
I see it. Oh, I see it.
Yeah. Spark plug so deep in the head. This spark plug boot didn't work. So I was looking at it and I'm like, looks a lot like a Porsche 912 gap. Drove down to Sierra Madre, went and picked up 2 Bakelite spark plug caps for a Porsche 912, and they're in there.
So is it fair to say that's the only setup on the planet
that
has a 912? Like, how else do people get around that?
Well, I got some shitty plugs from Siebenrock, but they just look like garbage.
Wow. Gosh. Okay. So, gone past the honeycomb filter. Anything?
We've got Öhlins on the back. We've got...
here's a question.
Yes?
Why did you decide gold Öhlins on the back with the black on the front?
For me personally, I like the black Öhlins forks, and gold forks would scream not original.
Okay.
These, being telescopic with the rubber boot and everything, I think you can glance at that and not realize what it is.
Okay.
Right?
Got it.
This Öhlins on the back is from Öhlins, off the shelf, for an R80GS.
So if it was an original Safari bike, might they just be black?
Well, the Safari bikes had a twin shock setup.
Oh, so it's like 2 of these, you mean?
2 skinny ones.
One on either side or 2 on the same side?
1 on either side.
Okay.
We have an extended swing arm,
which is
50 millimeters longer than a factory one.
You just point to that, like
this
that's
swing
it.
arm.
Okay, I see.
In here, you can see the 2 welds where it was extended. Kinda. Weld in there.
Okay.
Then we've got this is a draft tube coming from the airbox. BMW have it set up where your crankcase breather relieves the engine of excess oil pressure and dumps the oil into the carburetor, which goes into the head and carbons up and gets gross. I've got it so the crankcase breather just feeds a tube, it's called a draft tube, and just dumps it out the back.
Wait a second. So what's coming out the back here?
That's oil.
Just like oil stripping?
Yeah, from the crankcase breather. So when you've got too much pressure, instead of burning the oil, it just dumps it out the back.
Oh, wow.
Keeps your heads clean.
Also, if you go missing in the desert,
yeah, you
then
leave
all
a
you just
trail.
need to do is like follow the oil on the sand.
Well, that would mean your engine's not running properly anyway. You don't get much coming out of that anyway. It's more of a mist. Okay, so, come back. There's lots to see. I feel like, anyway,
This is for
battery is not here. You see, there's a nice hollow cavity there.
Put your hands through it. Right?
What?
That's where the battery would live.
Yeah, battery would live there normally.
Oh, I see 2 holes. Would that normally sit on that?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay. So where's the battery?
Under the tank.
Is that a little battery?
Yeah.
A little battery with more output than the original battery. It was much bigger.
That's questionable, but little battery.
Wow. Lighter battery?
Yeah.
Wow. So, also...
Oh, it's nice squishy suspension.
Oh, colour of the saddle.
I mean, we both know that this is red, but they call it orange.
Is that to match the flash here?
I mean, that's red. That's just aged out.
Oh,
I don't know. There's something about this colour scheme where I love it, I love it. And I think it's the best one from the factory. But then sometimes I look at it and go, you look like a fucking clown. But then I guess that's much how I live my life.
I'm not going to say a word at the moment.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Because I know I'll come back to bite me. And is this the factory saddle that you have had recovered?
Nah, reproduction. Brand new.
Okay.
As is the rack.
So, is that where you're going to put your donuts? Strap down your donuts?
You know what I might put here? And I'm conflicted. There's a readily available leather tool bag thing that goes on the back.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of wanted it.
Yeah.
But then over the years, I've only ever seen fucking douchebags with it.
By the way, if you're liking the video, please subscribe.
You can have a luggage rack on this bike. I kept all the factory mountings for it. I was tempted to put on those big steel bags that we put on Randy's bike, you know? Check it out. Just with 2 twists.
No.
There we go.
Oh.
Tacos go in there.
Donuts go in there?
Yes. I kept the storage compartment.
Oh, interesting. And that's also, one is assuming, if you're doing the safaris, where your passport goes.
Yeah, you put that in there. But passport fits in your pocket, doesn't it? You don't want to lose that.
Well,
look at that lovely cavity.
Whoa.
Said no one's dentist ever. Rear end.
Yeah.
Is from a R100 RT and is the biggest, longest ratio I could find because I figured the engine was so powerful that we wanted some cruising speed. And this thing wheelies in first, even with the long rear end.
Oh my God.
So we did a 17-inch rear wheel on the back and had to make the brake rod. This is I handmade that out of stainless. Polished it, clipped my draft tube to it, polished brake lever, made my brass pointer, polished in that. We got an LED tail light. I kind of hate LED tail light, but
safety first.
Safety and bright.
Because when you're getting tacos,
yeah,
in Malibu.
Bright. Factory reflectors. Very cool license plate.
Did you paint that yourself?
No. Badge.
2024. Round out.
Original chrome muffler and guard. Not reproduction. Factory.
Factory brand new or factory?
No, factory salvaged, used, used part. Just like I told you, I've been putting this stuff on the shelf for a long time. We got, excuse the long cables. I was just test fitting the carbs. I've since ordered the correct length carburetors, the carb cables. So this is just some extra dingle dangle.
Some extra dingle dangle?
Dingle dangle, because the cables are so long. They shouldn't be there. This will be gone on stage 2. Okay.
So if a client wants dingle dangle, they can have dingle dangle?
No, no one gets dingle dangle.
Okay.
Kickstart 5-speed box. That was GS specific. We've got Sieben Rocks drop foot pegs because the factory pegs are too high. Everyone acknowledges that. And an adjustable shifter.
What's this?
Passenger foot peg. So upstairs, I've got a variety of different seats.
Oh.
So you can unscrew this, take it off, and put on a bench seat.
Ah.
Yeah, and you can carry your passenger. Oh, factory R80GS oil pan. You see that sump guard?
Hang on.
Ooh,
this one?
Yeah. That's a factory R80GS sump guard that's been polished.
Well,
mounted to factory R80GS oil pan. It's all very rare and wonderful stuff.
Wow. Do you have to adjust the shiny oil pan cover, or does it come as a kit?
I mounted the spacer in between the two of them because I don't like the way that the factory did it. As you can see, my little spacers.
Oh, yeah. Point again, so...
My little spacers.
Context.
All got 12-point ARP hardware everywhere. I find it funny now that, like, I keep seeing these, like, copycat bikes about, and they've got, like, 8 ARP bolts on it, and the rest of it's just all the factory rusty crap. You know, if you're going to do it, at least do it.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
oh, hang on. Let's see what you see.
Got it?
I don't know. Can you see?
I can see. Look at that. Oh.
How much do you love that?
Before we found the leak, I was really enjoying it.
And then,
It will be perfect. It's just because it's mine, it's just biting back, I think. Yes.
pretty bike. All right. Next.
We should start it, right?
I mean,
We're going to dump oil, but people want to hear it.
weirdly, there doesn't look to be as much smoke as before.
It's cold.
Oh, okay.
When it gets hot,
Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else on this
doesn't
one?
that sound good?
That sounds good.
It does. It rips, man.